where you really felt like you found your role in this team? Because it felt like the first 2 years you were trying to figure out exactly your place in the W.
Everybody does a little bit, and I think it's having like that support system to help keep you on track.
What if I told you that Lexie Hull went from barely touching the court to becoming a fan favorite overnight? It sounds impossible, right? Well, get ready for a story that'll blow your mind. Lexie's transformation is so wild, you'll think it's straight out of a movie. But here's the thing, it's 100% real. And it all started when Caitlin Clark stepped onto the scene. Want to know how it happened? Imagine this. Game after game, Lexie Hull is confined to the bench. Isn't that frustrating? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. When it came to the Indiana Fever, that was her reality. We're talking about practically any points scored and scarcely any playing time. Hull was an absolute star in college, so it's crazy to consider. In the WNBA, though, it's a completely different story. For a moment, put yourself in her position. You're desperate to prove yourself, but you're not getting the opportunity. During her first 2 seasons, Hull was only averaging 12.2 minutes each game. It's nothing. And here's the thing, as a rookie, she was only scoring 3.4 points a game. Talk about a difficult beginning. What's even more bizarre, Hull's shooting was wildly inaccurate. In her rookie season, she had a field goal percentage of 30.7%. It makes sense why she was having trouble getting a starting position. Although she improved slightly in her second year, scoring 5.1 points per game, she was still far from her ideal level.
Like it was inescapable.
I think it's hard. It's easy to say,
The problem is this. Hull continued to grind, work out, practice, repeat. However, nothing seemed to be clicking. I was just trying to find my place in the league, she even admitted.
Where you really felt like you found your role in this team? Because it felt like the first 2 years you were trying to figure out exactly your place in the W.
things are so up in the air that it's hard to know exactly where you fit.
Even though I didn't obtain the minutes I desired, I persisted in my hard effort. Do you sense the annoyance in those words? We must discuss the one game in which Hull only played for 2 minutes. 2 minutes. That's crazy. Imagine getting excited, warming up, and dressing up, yet hardly ever setting foot on the court. Anyone would want to give up after reading it. But here's the thing. Hull never gave up. Even when things appeared difficult, she persisted. I persisted even when things appeared difficult, she stated. I knew I needed to remain prepared for my opportunity. That right there is some real mental toughness.
Yeah, I've read some of my DMs that are hidden, and I refuse to read a lot of them because I know people are upset. And so you kind of forget that there's these people behind the scenes until they come out of the woodwork and say I've been following along this whole time.
Consider this. It's as if someone flips a switch for Lexie Hull as soon as Caitlin Clark takes the court. In an instant, everything is different. Hull lights up the scoreboard after warming the bench. It seems as though Clark was carrying a magic wand or something. Let's dissect it. The minutes of Hull? They take off. Her arguments? They are quite high. And her self-assurance? She seems to be a completely different player. What's even more bizarre? As if it were nothing, Hull begins to drain threes. From beyond the arc, we're talking 70%.
Half of the season, all of our shots, threes going up, fans are out of their seats and expecting it to go in. So that just feels so good to feel the confidence from them.
Not only is that good, but those are video game numbers. You'll be shocked by what follows. The crowd begins screaming her name. Yes, the same throng that used to hardly notice Hull. Is that even possible? Just like that, from unseen to fan favorite.
The following and the spotlight is great, and it's a huge deal for the WNBA and women's sports, but at the end of the day, our job is to perform. We've seen just such a growth year after year, so it's been so fun. The fans in Indiana have been amazing, so just excited to keep playing there.
Hull seems to have entered another reality where she is now the main attraction. We must discuss that game in Seattle. Hull was burning. She was cooking after all. It felt as if I were witnessing a totally different player. She was all over the floor, sinking shots and creating plays. You would assume that Hull had been a superstar the entire time if you had fallen asleep for a season and then woke up to see this game.
And realize that like the start of the season isn't the biggest deal. It's how we finish and how we get better. And really proud of just the resiliency of the group. Yeah, I think, she sees the game at a bigger scale, obviously with the platform that she's created for herself, and then that's transitioned to the game.
The problem is that it was more than just the numbers. On the court, Hull's entire attitude shifted. She was enjoying herself while playing freely. She felt as though all of the weight had been removed from her shoulders. It was evident in her movements and smile. Hull used to appear anxious whenever she took the court, but this was a different Hull. How, therefore, did Caitlin Clark completely transform Lexie Hull's game in a single day? You could assume that Clark's incredible passes were the main focus. It wasn't only the assists, though. What changed everything was Clark's faith in Hull. Perhaps Hull didn't see something in herself, but Clark did.
Everybody does a little bit, and I think it's having like that support system to help keep you on track. If I miss, she's definitely going to say, like, you got the next one. Like, I can count on her for keeping me like confident and positive.
His ability to attract defenders made Hull the open person in the attack. Hull had room to shoot and make plays all of a sudden. Clark, too, she continued to support Hull and give her the ball.
That's talked about a lot is it feels like she really imbues everybody with confidence as well. Like she just sort of has this way of thinking big about things. Oh, look, you've been on the Fever for 3 years now, but this year, you go from a rebuilding team to now you guys are selling out arenas. You're a fan favorite. You're being recognized on the street. Like what?
I believe in you, Clark seemed to be saying with each pass. It wasn't limited to the court either. Outside of the court, these two also became friends. That companionship, it produced this fantastic support network. Hull had changed her focus from playing for herself to playing for her team and her friend. That kind of stuff has the power to change a player and bring forth their best qualities. The truth is that Lexie Hull's experience is reminiscent of a movie. Thanks to Caitlin Clark's magic touch, she went from warming the bench to being the fan favorite.
We had the #1 pick, and once Caitlin declared, that kind of changed things, I think, for the city a little bit. People were just so excited to come support the Fever. We felt that. Yeah, I mean, I think like part of my role is just getting to the open spots, and we have such a good offense that people find the open person.
How one player can alter everything is absurd, isn't it? However, have a look at this. Hull isn't merely following Clark's lead. She is working hard, concentrating on her responsibilities, and going above and beyond to ensure the team's victory. Know what's crazy? Hull is working on some top-secret off-season plans. You can guarantee that she isn't slowing down, even though she didn't reveal every detail. You have to ask yourself, is this Hull's beginning? Imagine what she could accomplish next season if she's already made this much progress. I'm placing a large wager on her future.
I'm curious about like the competitive aspect of it too. I think it's something you've talked about in the past too, that she's just kind of raised the competitiveness level.
Guard on the other team, hitting open shots, being where I need to be, spreading the floor. Like those are things that I can bring to any team. So those are the things that I focus on.
But only time will tell. I'm eager to see what Hull does next because her tale is far from over. This might be the beginning of something really big.